Chapter 4. Although his heart couldn't wait for Zhou Yunsheng to swiftly leave the country, Zhou Wen'ang still had the endurance to say many words, urging him to stay, until the other side confirmed that he was already determined. Only then did he compromise, feigning helplessness. After he left, Zhou Yunsheng transferred out a file from the computer, lips hooked into a sneer. This file was actually a change of will document, signed by the mother of the original owner, Lady Zhang Ji. As a hacker searching the network for information has always been Zhou Yunsheng's habit. Although he already knew the general direction this world would develop, he wouldn't let any hidden details slide. This change of will was found in Zhang Ji's email. It assigned all the inheritance that originally belonged to Zhou Wen'ang to the eldest son. In other words, she didn't intend to leave a single penny to the youngest son. While she was alive, Yangxi, because of Zhou's father's influence, was very partial towards the youngest son. If it was normal circumstances, she would never treat the youngest son this way. Moreover, this change of will was completely drafted a week before her death, and it was completely deleted before it was sent to the lawyer, and she jumped into the sea to commit suicide shortly after. How on earth could there be such a coincidence? Who deleted the will? Did she really commit suicide? Moreover, after her death, the lawyer still received a change of will, but it stipulated that all her property be left to the youngest son. The eldest son only received 3 villas and a few pieces of jewelry. The original owner didn't care about such an unfair inheritance distribution. He even felt that it was proper, but Yangxi's parents felt that it was inappropriate and personally dropped by to inquire. At that time, Zhou's father gave the explanation that the eldest son would inherit Zhou clan in the future, and since the youngest son's future prospects were inferior to the eldest, it was proper to leave him his mother's legacy. Yangxi's parents also loved the littlest grandson, so they quickly accepted this reason. After that, under Zhou's father's guidance, Zhou Yunsheng alienated his grandparents, while Zhou Wen'ang visited home to accompany them from time to time, and received many benefits from the young family. The original owner was confused to this extent. No wonder he died so uselessly. Zhou Yunsheng shook his head and locked the will into the computer. Sooner or later, one day, he would seize back all the original owner's things. When Zhou Wen'ang learned that Zhou Yunsheng planned to go abroad, he sped up the plan to push Zhou Wenjing out. Once the 2 roadblocks were removed, Zhou Group would be in his bag. This day, Zhou Wenjing was expelled from school for stealing a watch worth hundreds of thousands from his classmate. The victim's parents, who also had prestige, were personally running to the Zhou family house to have a long talk with Zhou's father. Zhou's father felt endless shame, and so as soon as the guests left, he ruthlessly whipped Zhou Wenjing with a leather belt, then immediately decided to send him abroad. "I didn't steal it. Zhou Yunsheng framed me. Uncle, you have to believe me." Zhou Wenjing was lying on his bed, revealing a scarred back, one hand clenched into a fist, the other hand forcefully pulling at Du Zhulang's sleeves. I know you didn't do it. Uncle believes you." Du Zhulang patted his head to appease him. After Zhou Wenjing sunk into sleep, teary-eyed, he quietly visited the other juvenile's room. He raised his hand, but didn't know when he'd come here. He believed that Zhou Wenjing was innocent, but he also believed that this wasn't planned by Zhou Yunsheng. Zhou Yunsheng liked to bully Zhou Wenjing, that was true, but whether it was fighting him or threatening him, he was always brazen, no worries or fears, not afraid of others knowing. Actions like today, framing entrapment, ruining futures, those really weren't his style. The only person that could do something like that was the honey-mouthed, backstabbing Zhou Wen'ang. But even if it was clear in his mind, Du Zhulang didn't plan to explain it to Zhou Wenjing. His protection didn't mean that he wanted to grow him into a greenhouse flower. He wanted to let him go through storms on his own, and finally grow into a towering tree. Hypocritical people like Zhou Wen'ang, friendly on the outside and scheming on the inside, were common on Earth. He needed to learn how to read people sooner or later. When Du Zhulang was preparing to quietly leave, the door opened from inside. A boy appeared with his hands folded on his chest, leaning against the doorframe. "What? Have you come to fight for justice for Zhou Wenjing?" Du Zhulang shook his head. He was about to explain when he saw the boy leaning to the side to make an opening, indicating that he should talk inside. He had no choice but to walk in. "Sit down." Zhou Yunsheng pointed to the armchair next to the floor lamp. The orange halo shrouded the velvet sofa, giving off a warm feeling. "Do you mind if I smoke?" Du Zhulang crossed his slender legs and pulled out a cigarette from his suit pocket, igniting it. He'd been a big shot for a long time. He always acted without reservation, so the question was just courtesy. Moreover, the boy's room was laid out in a warm and comfortable way, making him unconsciously relaxed. "I mind." Zhu Yunsheng walked over and removed the cigarette from his mouth, throwing it into a glass of warm milk. The hissing sound seemed to be ridiculing someone. Du Zhulang froze. Since he turned 20 and took over Du conglomerate, no one dared treat him this way. He suddenly found it very interesting. Holding his forehead, he chuckled. Zhou Yunsheng didn't wish to acknowledge him. Directly sitting at his desk to fiddle with the computer, he spoke without lifting his head. "Zhou Wenjing's explosion wasn't triggered by me. I know you didn't do it. I didn't come to interrogate you." Du Zhulang stopped laughing and softly explained. He just wanted to say a few words to the boy. Since a day in the dark alley, when he exposed his inner fragility, he always felt something for him, similar to compassion, and he always involuntarily paid more attention to him. Zhou Yunsheng unexpectedly glanced at him. After a moment of silence, he finally said, "Then you should know whose writing is behind this. Might as well tell you. I'm also going abroad. I plan to leave the day after tomorrow." "To where?" The man was sitting languidly, unconsciously stiffened. "To a country, like Zhou Wenjing, but I'm going to Hodge's high school." Zhou Yunsheng tapped his toe, twisting his chair around to look the other man in the face, saying meaningfully, "You should know, a country's law and order is lacking. Drugs flood the street. You should watch Zhou Wenjing closely, so he doesn't go astray under someone else's guidance." Du Zhulang's heart shook slightly. Although it wasn't obvious on the surface, he laughed. "Leaving the country? Jing Shao can only pray for more luck. What does it have to do with me? Why should I keep an eye on him?" Zhou Yunsheng didn't answer. Instead, he casually clicked the enter key, and the black and white photo slowly appeared on the computer screen. A 15-year-old girl sitting on the lawn, hugging a 4-year-old boy. The two were squinting, laughing in the muddled sunshine. Shockingly, that girl was Zhou Wenjing's dead mother, and the boy with the lovely facial features only resembled Du Zhulang. This photo instantly provoked Du Zhulang's long-ago dusty memories. That was the only time in his life he felt warmth and happiness. But everything ended when she died. Before you were adopted by the Smith couple, you lived in Yupei orphanage, and you and Zhou Weijing's mother loved each other like siblings. They say that an older sister is like a mother. Your feelings for her must have been very deep. How could you leave your orphaned nephew to fend for himself? Although Jun Sheng already knew everything, he didn't intend to expose all the truth, such as Du Xulang's true identity. His fake identity was an orphan from C country that a couple from A country adopted, which also made it easier to become acquainted with Zhou Weijing. Zhou Yunsheng's reason for saying so much to Du Zhulang was to make clear his attitude of objectivity. Du Zhulang was hugely powerful. If he was interested in making things difficult for him, his situation would become more troublesome. As for the protagonist, he was still very weak. When he finally grew up, Zhou Yunsheng was confident that he would also be so strong that the other side wouldn't be able to shake him. After being reincarnated for hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, his greatest capital has long been sealed in his brilliant brain. This world's technology wasn't backward, but it also wasn't flourishing, and it absolutely couldn't be compared to his original world. Forget about the interstellar areas he had experienced through incarnation. He just needed to write a few programs, develop some softwares, and he could quickly amass a huge amount of wealth. He had wisdom, so no matter what condition he was reduced to, he'd be able to react calmly. But if his troubles and obstacles could be fewer, that was, of course, for the better. Duke Xulang stared at the photo for a long time. Then he sighed, facing the teenager before him for the first time. The boy wasn't simple if he could uncover his carefully concealed truth. The corner of Zhou Yunsheng's mouth pulled up as he looked at him mockingly, saying, "Do you remember? You two siblings always received new clothes and toys from Lady Yang every New Year. That Lady Yang was my mother, Yang Xi. He was tired of being the villain, so he decided that he'd live each new life standing at the height of morality. Although Zhou Wenjing's mother probably didn't hound Yang Xi to death, rather she was most likely murdered by Zhou Hao. Why should he tell this man? Letting him feel guilty, then back down was in his best interest." Du Xulang was truly stunned. After a long while, he hoarsely said, "I'm sorry, I forgot." He was only 5 years old at that time, and not long after he was taken in by the Du family. So his impression of Lady Yang, who he'd never seen, wasn't very profound. It may be assumed that after he left, Lady Yang continued to support his sister. She was able to leave the harsh environment of the orphanage, study in the best university in C country, and get the opportunity to work for the Zhou clan. This was being graced with a new lease on life. But how did his sister pay back her benefactor? She destroyed the benefactor's family and indirectly brought about the benefactor's death. He was even more excessive. Not only did he never care about the benefactor's child, he even entertained the idea of getting rid of him to pave the way for Wenjing. Just because Wenjing told him that his sister killed herself because of Yang Xi's harassment. This was indeed inverting right and wrong and biting the hand that feeds you. Du Zhulang wiped his face, not daring to entertain that line of thought. "No need to apologize. She didn't cherish you guys' gratitude. Nowadays, thankless bastards are everywhere. Who hasn't bumped into a few?" Zhou Yunsheng got up and opened the door, saying, "It's late, you should go. Don't forget to take away the glass of milk." Du Xulang forced a smile, picked up the cigarette milk, and left with heavy footsteps, tossing and turning all night long, sleepless. The Zhou family's two brothers left to go abroad, one after another. One to a small Ivy Hodge high school, the other to the aristocrat school Repentant. Not long after, Zhou's father's personal assistant, Du Xulang, quit, leaving behind no traces. A year and a half later, the IT industry was thrown into a whirlwind. A company called Noah Universal Tech developed a Star Wars online game. After just 1 month of beta testing, it caught fire around the world. The sensory helmet that was exclusively sold with it brought the players into an immersive, magical world, creating a new area of online games. With this game and sensory helmet, Noah Universal accumulated rapid wealth. It was listed on the NSDAQ the following year, becoming the IT industry's full potential dark horse. Because the sensory helmet's technology was too high-end, no one could reverse engineer it so far. It was unknown how many IT giants wanted to steal away the computer genius hidden behind Noah Universal, but no one could even find out who that genius was.